Hufft doesn't necessarily have an aesthetic. I think we have more of a consistent approach. You know, we tend to try to use materials in innovative ways, and we try to create innovative building forms. So that might lead to a little bit of an aesthetic, but we try really hard to not come into the project with any preconceived notions. You know, I think for me, what is interesting about architecture and what the opportunity and potential for architecture is, you know, it's kind of the built form or the physical manifestation of a lot of different types of relationships. So it's our relationship to nature and the environment. It's also kind of the built form of our relationship to each other as people or as a community. You know, the building really has two sides. It has the town and the lake side and the airfield side. So the main way that we kind of negotiated that was through the central space called the gateway, which even in its shape and plan, it's kind of a trapezoidal shape, and it opens you up into the airfield as you enter kind of from the lake side. We kept the building very, very close to the lake and integrated the boardwalk with the lake and with the building. It overhangs the lake, so that was all kind of, you know, one cohesive design. The original concept was to create a building that kind of evoked that kind of golden era of flight, like the barnstormer era of flight. So creating a building that looked like a barn was the original concept. That started to take on new meaning the more and more we talked to the clients about that. They have a large collection of art from a local artist named George Dombeck, who has a really famous series of barn paintings from every county in Arkansas. So we kind of combined, you know, the concept for the building with their art collection, and I think it started to take on even more meaning. So the gateway space that I was referring to earlier, we really started to ask, like, what would it feel like to be inside one of these George Dombeck barn paintings? So that's where the articulation and the material comes from. The Fieldhouse relates functionally to the airport in a lot of different ways. I mean, that was, aside from trying to make the connection from, you know, the lake to the airfield side, the plan and kind of the orientation was all kind of functionally driven, you know, making sure that the exhibit hangar, you know, kind of fronts the apron and the runway in the right way to get planes in and out of it. I mean, we had to be very specific about the size and the dimensions of the exhibit hangar. Getting the cafe in the right spot to where the outdoor patio could have a view of the lake, and then the indoor seating looks out onto the apron, so that when patrons, you know, are there enjoying their meal, they're also able to experience, you know, being at the airport and kind of celebrating the Ozarks and Bentonville's role and potential for recreational flight to be a big draw to the area. So it's really about trying to connect the town and the community with the Ozarks, and we kind of use the phrase that the Fieldhouse was a jumping off point for adventure.